Today I'm going to talk about God's definition of success. And that definition really comes out of Joshua chapter 1, verses 7 through 9. It says, only, so get rid of everything else. Begin to have eyes of focus. Eyes of focus means that it's the process of elimination. You eliminate other things that might be good, but they're not great. Good can be the enemy of great in your life. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have eyes of focus. He says, only be strong and very courageous. Why? We do have an enemy. He does come to steal, kill, and destroy. He's the best liar in the world. And the thing that he loves to do more than anything else is tell lies about God and lies about you. But there is a promised land for you individually. There's a promised land for us as a people. And he says, only be strong and very courageous, being careful to do according to the law that Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or the left. Remember, stay focused. Don't get distracted. Don't turn to the right. Don't turn to the left. What we need to do is maintain our focus. He says, that you may have good success wherever you go. The enemy promises that his objective is to steal, kill, and destroy. But yet God is saying that I promise to give you life and life more abundant, and you'll have good success wherever you go. He says, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. That word meditate means focused thinking. You are going to focus your thinking first thing in the morning. When you focus your thinking first thing in the morning, it becomes easier to focus your thinking throughout the day and into the night. So that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. Because see, it is very easy to disobey. It is very easy to compromise. It is very easy to get off track. But you want to be careful with the words that God speaks, that you do according to all that is written in it, for then you will make your way prosperous. See, the enemy is a good enough liar that he will give you false definitions of prosperity. He will give you false definitions of success. But God is the original author of success, the original author of prosperity. And if you are tempted to take the enemy's definition of success, if you have external success without internal character, that external success will destroy you. He says, then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you. The Lord your God is with you. The Lord your God is with you. The 5 most important words are earlier in this chapter. I will be with you. 5 most important words in the world. I will be with you. 2 sides of a coin. Then he says 5 more words. I will not fail you. I will be with you, and because I am with you, it is impossible for you to fail. So what's the secret to success? Is it improving your physical life, your professional life? Those are important. Those are significant. But when you improve your spiritual life, then everything that else is important is put in the proper order of preference. See, when God is first, it is easier for me to have the right sequence of importance. Now, in the world of just kind of being blunt and vulnerable and honest, throughout my lifetime, I have a hard time sustaining like true diet and exercise. I'm either all in, and you guys will see skinny Chris, or I am all out, and sometimes you see fat Chris, all right? You know, and that only works in Memphis, Tennessee when you got skinny Elvis and fat Elvis, right? That's why you can say that. But when God is first, then I see my physical health from a different perspective. Now, another thing I battle with is I absolutely love my work. And because I love my work, I can work all the time. And so I battle not working too much. But when God is first, then I begin to see it from his perspective. And when I see it from his perspective, I find the right priority sequence. So what's the secret to success? If we put God first, then it's easier to prioritize everything else. Now, you're rarely going to operate at premium performance all the time. But if I'm on the right road, let's say I'm on I-40 and I'm going to Nashville. Let's reverse that. We don't want to go to Nashville. Let's say I'm in Nashville and I'm on I-40, I'm going to Memphis, the better destination. There are times that I'm on that road, it's a pretty day, there's no traffic, and I'm in that neighborhood of, 75 to 80, trying to be just a little bit above the speed limit, but not so much above the speed limit that I get a ticket, a little bit within that realistic range. But I just want to be just a little bit faster just to get there a little bit faster. I just kind of compete with myself every single time. Anybody else do that? It's stupid, it's weird, but I do it. But there's other times I drive and it's raining and it would be unsafe to go that fast. And let's say I got to slow it down to 50. But I'm still on the right road and I'm still going to get to my destination. There's other times I'm on that road and there's been an accident and traffic's backed up. And nowadays we have that GPS where we see that dreaded red line. And then like before, you wouldn't know how long you'd be waiting, but like here recently, Karen and I were traveling and we were down in South Florida, kind of the Miami area, and we were trying to get back somewhere, and like 2 times on that trip, that red line came up and it was like over 45 minutes each time. And I mean, that's just a dagger in my personality's heart. Like it's just, I am stuck. I can't do anything for the next 45 minutes, but just wait. And so you're not always gonna perform at peak performance. But you can be on the right road. You can be making progress, not perfection. And so when we start talking about having God's prosperity and we start talking about having God's success, what's it look like for you just to have progress in the way that God promises this? I mean, why isn't God's definition of success prioritized? You would think that there would be videos, podcasts, books that are the best-selling books, New York Times bestseller in history, that we would get everybody on the same page and say, God says this is the definition of success. Everyone would go, makes sense to me, great, let's do it, and let's prosper. And yet, we don't prioritize God's definition of success. So let's play the what if game today. And I want to begin with the positive before I begin with the negative. What if this word that I'm speaking today What if it's your mustard seed for 2025? And by mustard seed, by the way, just got a text, there's 5 baptisms happening after this service. Anybody else needing to obey, just shorten my sermon time. See, a mustard seed is when the smallest seed is impregnated with God's faith, and then the smallest seed becomes the biggest plant that becomes the biggest tree, and all of a sudden, the smallest becomes the biggest to bless the smallest. Now reverse that again. The smallest becomes the biggest to bless him or herself. No, that will happen. But the smallest becomes the biggest to bless the smallest. I mean, what if the mustard seed is that all of a sudden today you're going to hear this word and you're going to say, I am going to commit to meditate upon the word day and night. I'm going to commit to be careful to do all that is written in it. And then I'm going to commit to not turn to the right or left. I'm going to stay focused. And if you will commit to doing that, first things first, then you are adopting God's definition of success, and you will have more prosperity than you can ever imagine. I mean, what if you committed to 3 ways to put God first? You know, the very first of the 10 commandments says, you shall have no other gods before me. So the word first is incredibly important. But here's 3 ways that if we were to truly commit to put God first in the life of this church, you would be blown away at how God blesses those 3 ways and how you all of a sudden become trustworthy as a steward of God, and he wants to give you more. What if you daily honor your priority time? Now, if you don't know how to have a priority time, in the Corner Shop book out there, I've written a book about how to have a priority time. If you cannot afford this book, if right now it is not, it just doesn't work, go get one for free. No excuses whatsoever, all right? So there's a book to help you. Karen taught a sermon series on this. You can get on the podcast. Is a priority time series. She taught it in July of 2021. You can go listen to it, July of 2021. So, daily honor your priority time. That means you are going to dedicate a minimum, I would encourage a minimum of 20 minutes each morning unhurried. You say, well, I read a devotional. That's good. But you're reading someone else's priority time. And someone else's priority time was so great, they wrote a book about it, and now you're reading about how great their priority time is instead of just having a great priority time yourself. All right, so it's fine, it's good. It's not the best. Good can be the enemy of great. So I would encourage you to have your own priority time, all right? So daily honor your priority time, but then weekly honor the Sabbath. Well, how do I do that? I'll put it in 3 terms. See, the Sabbath is more than just resting. Watch this. It's essential to stop working, stop worrying, and stop wanting. Dedicate the Sabbath around stop working, stop worrying, and stop wanting. Let me break that down a little bit. All right, so the Sabbath is a day to rest, so it's much more than a day off, okay? It's a time to reflect upon the goodness of God. It's a time in the rest to be refueled, and then it's a time to refocus. The Sabbath, not only that, it's essential to stop worrying. So the Sabbath is a reset button. Oh my gosh, I've just had crisis after crisis this week. I've had problem after problem this week. Call time out. Take one day to hit the reset button and say, God, give me the ability to reflect, to refuel, and to refocus. See, 1 Peter 5, 6 and 7 says this, humble yourselves, therefore under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he might exalt you. Now watch, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. There's a lot of anxieties all week long, but you don't have to carry them all week long. And then it's essential to stop wanting. The Sabbath is a day to be grateful, not to still live in that category of this is good but not good enough. So stop focusing on wanting more and start enjoying what you have. Now watch this. The Sabbath should be holy. Thus it should be set apart. The word holy means set apart. It means unique. It means radically different. Is your Sabbath, does it have different rhythms? Does your Sabbath, does today for you? And listen, if Sunday doesn't work, maybe you work on Sunday. Pick a different day for a Sabbath. My Sabbath is Friday night, basically 6:30, to Saturday night at 6:30. Sunday is not my Sabbath, to be honest with you, okay? So there's flexibility and freedom here. But does your Sabbath have different rhythms, different expectations, and different blessings? So, you put God first, but you honor your priority time daily. You honor the Sabbath weekly. Now, I'm gonna end this short so we can enjoy baptisms in just a second. But let me say this. Regarding church, we're learning how to do this, okay? But when you come to church, you're coming more to give than to receive. You're coming to actually give worship to God. See, what should be happening is I should be having a priority time, which is kind of private worship daily. The more I have private worship, it prepares me for public worship. The more I have private worship, the more meaningful and powerful is my public worship. See, the more I obey God and serve God throughout the week, I come into Sunday morning from a place of victory, not defeat. And I come and the Sunday morning worship service also becomes a celebration service. See, I come to give to God, and when I use these terms, I'm talking about much more than money. Much, much more than money. And I come to give to others. Now watch this. Have you ever had this thought? It is possible for you to do church in a less than capacity. We can do everything good or bad, right? We can do everything in a more than capacity or less than capacity. We can do something great or we can do something poorly. It is possible to do church poorly. What would it look like that you came here and you gave your best? What would it look like if you gave your attention to God? Biggest distraction tool in the world. Can be used for good or bad. But what if you gave your best to God? Now, how about this one? What if you gave your energy to God? What if you walked in here fired up, ready, believing, expecting that God is going to do wonders this morning? Instead of limping in, I've had the hell beat out of me all week. Versus, I've kicked the devil's you know what all week. The series is called Courageous, by the way. We have never been called to be casual, convenient, and consumeristic. The third kind of first, daily honor your priority time, weekly honor the Sabbath, third, monthly honor the tithe. And you said, I knew he'd get money in there. You know why? Because the greatest competitor to God being first is money. See, God really doesn't want just your money. He's not like up there going, I'm just broke, and if a few more people would just give a little bit more, I'd be able to survive and everything be better. He wants your heart. He wants love and loyalty. See, listen to this. Bring the full tithe, not partial, into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and thereby put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you a blessing until there's no more need. The test of trust is the tithe. If I were to elaborate on that passage, it actually accuses us that if we don't give the tithe, that we're robbing God. And it actually says that the money becomes cursed. But all of a sudden, if we give the first to God, it's consecrated. Would you rather the money you have be cursed or consecrated? God can do more with your 10% than you can do with your 100%. So what if we trusted and obeyed these truths? What if we cultivated the right soil? What if? What if every single day, and you're gonna miss some, you cultivated the right soil by spending time in the Word? And you notice some rocks got in there, and so every now and then you gotta pull the rocks out. And every now and then you notice some thorns got in there, and you gotta pull the thorns out. But what would happen if you planted the right seed in the right soil? You would just enjoy watching the growth. And watch this, and I promise you this is true. Your life would begin to reflect the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is the birthplace of beauty. And you would become beautiful in every single expression of who you are. Your life is not just a garden for you. It is a garden for everyone in your family, for your friends, and for those who don't know the Lord yet. Now, what if we did what God said to do first? Literally first every morning. Then you would have good success. Don't believe me, that's the Bible. Believe the Bible. Then you will make your way prosperous. Now give me one good reason not to trust his definition of success. Give me one good reason not to prioritize his plan. So when you trust his word in some other area, why would you not trust his word in this area? So here's the thing. We are about to raise up Joshua and Caleb's. Some of you have already cultivated this discipline in your life, and you need to help others become Joshua and Caleb's. Some of you need to be revitalized in what it means that your, honestly, priority times kind of become routine. It's become a little boring. It's become a little just dry. You need to shock the system. It's not about checking the box. If I were to tell you that tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning that you could have a meeting with Jesus, would you show up early or late? Would you hit the snooze button? Or would you show up with your best energy? Would you show up with your most focused attention? Would you show up ready to not just take notes, but to do exactly what he said. It is possible for you to follow the Lord fully. Now, let me do this. Someone asked me recently about church. In the last couple of weeks, we've gone a little bit long, and they said something about, don't apologize for going long. And I want to help us understand we need to learn to just be present where God is.